Welcome to the Florida Weather Watch YouTube channel. My name is Daniel, and today I am going to be covering the latest with our significant rainfall event for South Florida and what has now become our first tropical disturbance of the year, labeled Invest 90L, that is helping to create all this rainfall for South Florida. But before I continue, ladies and gentlemen, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below to become a subscriber and a follower of the Florida Weather Watch YouTube channel. Please hit that like button down below and feel free to leave some comments down below on any questions or concerns you may have regarding this weather event. Without further ado, though, ladies and gentlemen, let me get into the current radar. And a lot of action is happening over South Florida right now. The first thing I want to show you is there is currently a flood watch in effect for the South Florida region from Lake Okeechobee all the way south. So this does include the Cape Coral, West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, Miami, Naples areas. That also does go extending down to Key West, Marathon, and all the Florida Keys as well. So this flood watch is currently in effect all the way through Wednesday evening through tomorrow night. And I do anticipate, given the current trends with rainfall today, that we will see an extension of this flood watch probably into Thursday and maybe even Friday. But currently, right now, what we've been seeing is most of the rainfall has been concentrating in an area roughly about from south of Cape Coral all the way across into North Miami and into Broward County today. This is where there's been a lot of what's called convergence happening. Okay, what convergence means is there's been a lot, as you can see right here, the storm motion is generally off into this direction here. And what that's been doing is it's been feeding in all this deep Caribbean moisture that is now surged northward into Miami-Dade, Broward, Collier counties here. There's actually been some more rain up north as well. But there are currently a lot of warnings going on. There's some flash flood concerns going on in northern Miami-Dade County right now. Let me go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and pause this loop here. Although you can see there's even more rain now developing and potentially going to be impacting parts of the same areas that have been getting a lot of rain today. There's a little shield of heavier rain over here that is starting to filter in this general direction here towards the greater Fort Lauderdale area, towards Pembroke Pines and these areas. So even more rainfall is indeed coming to these areas that are already getting saturated and flooded. What you see here is in these bright green boxes, these are flash flood warnings. This one is a flash flood warning with a considerable damage threat for northern Miami-Dade County. And this is because there's been up to 4 inches of rain that have fallen. Actually, there's even more than that at this point, and there's even more rainfall expected. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you kind of what's going on here. Let's go ahead. I'm going to switch this over to storm total precipitation here to give you an idea of just how much rainfall has fallen. And like I showed you in that box earlier, it seems like all the convergence is happening within the region from Cape Coral, south of Cape Coral, and across Collier County into Miami-Dade and Broward counties here. Okay, this is where we've had the most rainfall today. What we are seeing here, let me start zooming in here. Let me zoom into some of these areas here. So let me start with the population zones here. So in Naples and Naples Manor, there's been up to 5 inch widespread 4 to 5 inch rainfall totals in the Naples region here. Some much needed rainfall for these areas here. So 4 to 5 inches up in Naples here. Going on to Everglades City, there's a flood advisory because Everglades City, you've seen up to almost 6 inches of rain. And further inland here, these purples, we're looking at 9.3 inches of rain. 9 inches of rain in the interior sections of Collier County here that have fallen throughout the day, but widespread 6 to 9 inch rainfall totals uh, in southern Collier County here. Now coming over to Miami-Dade County here, we've had inland areas here in the Everglades getting up to 7.4 inches of rain. And the population areas here, widespread. Hialeah, we're looking at 4.3 inches of rain so far. Hialeah Gardens, 4.8. Surfing around here, going into downtown Miami, got about 5.5 inches of rain in downtown Miami. And the big winner, so to speak, has been Miami Beach. This area of Miami Beach here, over 7 inches of rain, 7.65 inches of rain near A1A in Miami Beach here. Got nearly 8 inches of rain here. That is for the Pine Tree Drive area over here near Collins Avenue, the service road there. Um, Not sure what happened to my radar. My radar temporarily glitched there. And then coming up through North Miami Beach, 4.5 inches of rain down into southern Broward County here. We're talking about Hollandale Beach, where there's flood reports in Hollandale Beach. You got 4.7 inches of rain. So a lot of widespread areas of heavy rainfall here across South Florida that have occurred. Uh, it's not made it quite to the Palm Beach area. All the rain has been concentrated to the south of you today, but I do anticipate that eventually that will surge northward in time as the system starts moving away from South Florida in the next couple days. And then up here in Central Florida, there's been a few areas here that have received some heavier rainfall. So we're talking about the Four Corners region west of Orlando here. There's been 3.5 inches of rain in the western areas of Orlando here. So I'm talking about just north of the Four Corners region here. South of Orlando, you got 3.6 inches of rain here today. And another big bullseye has been where there's been a lot of convergence happening at the coastline with the sea breeze and everything. You got 5.5 inches of rain near Scottsmore, almost over 6 inches of rain in some of these spots. Near Titusville, you're talking about 5.3 inches of rain. So lots of rainfall happening currently in these regions. So I'm going to exit out of this program now, and I'm going to get back into what's causing this. And this is what's our new tropical system here. It is the first what's called invest of the 2024 hurricane season. And an invest just means an area to investigate and an area to watch out for potential development. But the good news is there's not going to be much development here. And even though it looks like there's a lot of rain with this, the actual center of the system here is actually right here. You can kind of see it right here. There's an area of low pressure. Actually, let me go ahead and I'm going to do that in the typical color of a area of low pressure here. So the actual center of this system is right there. Okay, so let me go ahead and drag this over here. So it's right off of Tampa Bay, right over here, where we're seeing an area of low pressure that is spinning away a very weak area of low pressure. And one thing that you're noticing is with this is you're noticing how everything is getting blown off towards the north and east over here, and then down towards the south and east over South Florida. And that's because we got a lot of what's called wind shear going on. And this wind shear is just cutting the tops of the thunderstorms and pushing them away from the area of low pressure. So this area of low pressure is not going to be able to organize. There's a little burst of thunderstorms that's near Sarasota that may cause an extra amount of some heavier rainfall for Sarasota here. But the good news is this is not going to develop. This is just going to continue pumping in more and more moisture from the Caribbean here. So we're going to have more moisture that's going to spread on over South Florida here. So a lot of the moisture is going to continue to trail up across the southern parts of Florida here over the next several days. Now, let me go ahead and transfer this over to the what's called the TPW, which is the the total precipitable water, and this really shows this very, very well here, where we have. Let me do it in the traditional color here. Actually, because of the color scheme here, what we got going on here is there's a not there. Let's bring down the font size a bit. So right over here near Hispaniola, there's an area of high pressure that has developed. And what that's doing is it is now pumping all this deep tropical moisture from the Caribbean upwards. And as I showed you on over the weekend, this tropical moisture was going to feed into South Florida, and it is here. And it will be here for a while because what we also got going on at the same time is we got a bit of a boundary that has kind of stalled out. Actually, let me not do it with that. There's a boundary that has stalled out across. You can kind of see it right here. This boundary that's across the southeast United States here that has come through because of a cold front. That boundary is going to stall there and it's going to keep the moisture over South Florida and it's going to keep this deep flow that is coming across across the Gulf of Mexico like this. Okay, so because this boundary is sat further south, ladies and gentlemen, the heaviest of the rain is going to stay further to the south. There's been a big change to the 5 day precipitation forecast here. Well, the biggest thing is that it's maintaining the heaviest rains for the Sarasota and region southward towards Miami. And actually, I think based upon the rainfall that's currently happening over southeast Florida, especially Broward and Miami-Dade County, I think that 7.6 is going to be quite much higher in Miami. But all the heavy rain is now anticipated to stay to the south here. In previous runs and in previous models here, um, there was an idea that there could have been maybe some more moisture to sneak up into the Orlando, Palm Bay, Daytona Beach area, but that looks like that's going to stay to the south. And the reason why is because that area of low pressure set up further south than the models here. So the area of low pressure is here. And what's going to end up happening is that area of low pressure is going to track across here into the eastern Atlantic here, where it does have a small chance to develop, but it's going to be well away from land if it does. But what's going to end up happening is to the south of where that low tracks is where you have all the moisture just because of the wind shear and because of that boundary over northern Florida. Actually, this kind of shows that boundary pretty well right over here. You can kind of see this axis right here uh, across the northern Gulf here, extending up into um, the southeast United States. So that boundary is going to keep a lot of the moisture out of Jacksonville, Tallahassee, Panama City, Pensacola, and this is the forecast total rainfall for 120 hours or through Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So the flooding concerns are going to definitely be there for anywhere from the Tampa, Sarasota region here, where there could be 5 to 6 inches of rainfall. For West Palm Beach down to Miami through Broward, where there's going to be 6 to 8 inches of rainfall. And Southwest Florida is going to get a bonanza of moisture because that's where all that moisture is going to start colliding. So these areas have boxed up. Right here are the areas where there could be flooding concerns through the rest of the week as more moisture will pump in. There's going to be daily rounds of showers and thunderstorms in these areas here, but there's going to be less of a rainfall threat for the northern and most of Central Florida in the days ahead. So the bottom line, ladies and gentlemen, is there's going to be a lot of rain over the next several days. Still pumping in over South Florida. Flooding risks are definitely there. Flooding is actually currently happening in some of these areas already, and there's going to be more rain ahead all the way through Friday into Saturday, and then hopefully by next week we'll have a drier pattern for South Florida developing, so that they can dry out. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, pay attention to further updates coming out. Please remember this advice. If there's flooding in your area, do not drive through floodwaters, folks. Okay? Please remember, turn around, don't drown. Okay? Because you cannot gauge how deep water is on the roadways sometimes. Especially if there's roads have dips in valleys and everything in them, which is common here in South Florida. Um, But with that being said, pay attention to any flood warnings that do come out. There's several flash flood warnings for Southeast Broward and Northeast Miami-Dade County at this moment that will expire within the next few hours. And I think more than likely there will be an extension to the flood watches down here beyond Wednesday, probably into Thursday, maybe Friday, coming up. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Also, if you are on Facebook, follow the Florida Weather Watch Facebook page. And this week, I will be working on launching a TikTok for the Florida Weather Watch, as well as I want to expand my outreach uh, to more networks out there. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. Uh, Please be weather aware, especially if you're in the South Florida region for flooding. Remember, turn around, don't drown. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, have a terrific Tuesday. Thank you very much for watching. And as my late great cross country coach Jim Richardson would always tell me, there'll be weather, whether or not. But no matter how wet the weather's going to be, I'll be here to keep you ahead of the storm. Thank you very much. God bless you all, and have a terrific Tuesday.